Hey, everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. It's a joy to be with you. We've got a lot to talk about. And as we start this conversation on job losses, the data that came out on Thursday was devastating for all Americans, but particularly for Black women. And Black women are the canaries in the mine. We let you know what's going to happen to everybody else later on, and maybe sooner rather than later. Black women have lost 319,000 jobs since February. That's a lot of jobs, with more job cuts to come. But interestingly enough, according to reporting from the New York Times, at least at first blush, the people who took the hit were Black women because we saw job increases um, for Latinas, for white women, for white men,
Yep.
but not for Black women. Black women took the hit. Now, Black women have gone into government. Why? Because government gave us the opportunities and the space for advancement that we could not get in the private sector. And quite frankly, it happened for women too. Now, white women initially, but they had more space. But ultimately, affirmative action helped white women more than it helped anyone. And DEI helped white women more than it helped anyone. And as everyone is being taken back, guess what? Everybody's going to take a hit. Everybody. But this comes from the New York Times. You need to know this. While Black women lost 319,000 jobs, white women saw a job increase of 142,000 jobs. Hispanic women saw a job increase of 176,000 jobs. White men saw the largest increase of all, 365,000 jobs. Let me say that one more time for you. That's right. I see the brow furrowing, Lavonia Perryman and Diane Gibson. While Black women lost 319,000 jobs, white women saw an increase of 142,000 jobs. Hispanic women saw a job increase of 176,000 jobs. White men saw a job increase of 365,000 jobs. There's something going on there, and we need to talk about that. We need to also begin to talk about how we make it, because this crisis presents an opportunity for us. The jobs that we lost in government, that we lost downtown, because these are jobs that Black women lost across the public and private sector. So it wasn't just in government, it was everywhere. And as hard as we fought for DEI and affirmative action, it's something we need to think about, because when we get the jobs, we say it's not because of DEI, it's not because of affirmative action. Yes, it was. And you ought to feel proud that we won that battle or won those battles. Affirmative action and DEI, the first thing you've got to be is qualified. Qualified. In fact, that's a guarantee. You're not a Nepo baby when you're a DEI hire. You're not a Nepo baby, nepotism baby, when you are an affirmative action hire. It doesn't work like that. You've got to meet the baseline requirements, which means you need to be overqualified. Look, anytime President George H.W. Bush went to Yale, his alma mater, and he joked, I don't even know how I got in here. Bless his heart, he really is one of the nicest people you want to meet. I didn't agree with a lot of his policies, but a nice guy, really, really. And just big fun. And it was very serious because he knows that he got in because he has generations of family ties that, they forgave everything. I'm not mad at him. But when you look at the Black kids and the indigenous kids and the young women and the Latinas and everybody else who got in, who go through their 4 or 5 years there, and they're always trying to prove I'm worthy of being here. I'm like, are you serious? So let's think about that, because we saw a lot of high profile African American women lose their jobs. So where do we go from here? First of all, how do we lose these jobs? But think of the chief librarian at the Library of Congress. Her doctorate did not save her. Oh no, Dr. Peggy Carr, the chief statistician at the Education Department. Her doctorate did not save her. We need to get real clear, Diane Gibson, Rainbow Push Texas, Livonia Perryman, Rainbow Push Detroit, but award-winning journalist. And of course, Diane Gibson has been in government and all of these things. She's also been the person who, well, you and Livonia, when Reverend would go to Detroit, Livonia would go get him. When Reverend would
Gladly.
go to Texas, Diane would go get him and drive him all over that huge state. So, well, but we also learned by traveling with Reverend and working for him, we began to understand the country and we began to understand politics and how we had to fight. You could not take your foot off of the gas. So, everybody, I want you to meet me on Blue Sky, santitajackson.bsky, santitajackson.bsky.social, at Santita J on X, at Santita J on X, and Santita Jackson and Friends Facebook, on Facebook, and the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Meet Bernadette over there. She said, like and share, like and share. She's always the first one there, just about. Sending you all so much love. Hey, Dave Dowling. Hey, good day, y'all. Dave Dowling. Sending you so much love. Everybody, like and share, like and share. Let's talk about this because I tell you, much has been made, Livonia, about Black women losing so many of these jobs. No one really talked about how white women, at least initially, have taken a bump up. Hispanic women take a bump up. Now, what's interesting about Hispanics is that oftentimes they are white because they have that option, right? And many of them, the lighter skinned Hispanics, the white Hispanics, the ones who are heavily mixed with European blood, because they're all indigenous people. Those who appear white advance more readily in the society, and they flip between brown and white. Look, I'm just keeping it 100 with everybody here. So, because the only people who cannot flip are Black people. We're the ones who stay Black forever and ever and ever. Amen. That's fine with me. I'm all right with that. That having been said, we are fighting each other instead of fighting together to get our fair share. Women of every race do not get our fair share. We don't get our fair share of our pay. We don't get our fair share of the jobs. And you could just go all the way across the board. So let's just be very, very clear on what it is that we are looking at. So Livonia Perryman, what do you see?
What I see is about a possibility of an opportunity of working hard together once again. This is not, unfortunately, new for African American women, African American families, or African Americans in the country. This is another line, another battle within the war of survival and thriving in America. So what has happened, just think about it. I want to use one of the figures that you shared with me, that 12% of the federal government are African American females. 12%. And they were the streamline to self-sufficiency, to the middle class. So the government that we are living under tonight, right now, saw and see what we see, that African American women are proud, strong, brave, educated. If they're doing the cleaning of the house, I'm saying educated in terms of how to survive. So now we have to go back into the soul of African Americans, the soul of what our moms and our grandmothers taught us on how to really survive for the next 4 or 8 years to get back to being able to thrive. Right now, I believe we have to survive. Right now, you mentioned Lisa Cook, Department of Education. She was in a staff meeting, heading up a staff
Dr.
meeting.
Carr.
Dr. Carr, yeah, Dr. Carr. And they walked into her office with her staff, and security guards escorted her out. Now, she could have acted just like the comedy Black woman and turned the table over. She could have. But she graciously, as a Black woman who had been there for 35 years, walked proudly out. and looked and found another position. I don't know what that position is right now, but she
Yes.
did find another safe landing. Now, that only means that she is surviving. So they have, meaning the government, purposely, guys, I want people to hear me, purposely have cut the reins of us thriving. When they realized that more African American females were going to college, which is a fact, more African American females were head of households, which is a fact. More African American females were working in the system at a certain level, which is a fact. They said we need to cut off the thriving people, the surviving folk of the African American community. That's not to say, I want you to hear me, not to say that African American men are not doing exactly what they need to do. Trust me, love them dearly. But they meaning the government that we're under now, let me call it like it is, this tyrannical, horrible government that we are surviving under now. This is all we're doing now, surviving under now. Realize how powerful African American men are, how powerful African American women are when they work together. So they're trying to do a divide and conquer in our community. But I'm here to tell you, it's not going to work. We will survive. We might not thrive in the next year or two because Reuters says that, let me read it, 260,000 jobs will be lost within the year. And the majority of those people losing jobs will be African American females.
But
Go ahead.
Livonia, I think that's where it started.
Yes.
Because we saw this peeling away with Reagan.
Yes.
And it never stopped because Reagan's politics moved even the Democratic Party to the right. That's what we were fighting against. So, I mean, while we're looking at this right now, this particular administration, it didn't start here. You know, and it's not going to end here. It's going to hit everybody. I was struck by something I saw on Friday night, Diane and Livonia. I was watching Aaron Burnett's show on CNN, and I stayed around. I had something else I needed to do, but I said, let me finish watching this. And I'm glad I did because I was intrigued. I had something else I needed to do, but they said coming up, viral TikTok, viral videos, women are showing you how to make it on $1 a day. I said, wait a minute. And what was painful, it was painful that to see anyone having to do that. But what was striking was that it was white women. I could not determine their ages. I knew that they were not elderly because there was something in their manner that let me know they were not elderly. But because of poverty, you could see what poverty takes a toll.
That's right.
And I could see that. And I said, now, anytime it's getting this, it has gotten this bad for them. And it's not going to stop. It's hitting us first. But oh boy, what did Reverend used to say? It's a freedom train coming. You got it registered to ride.
That's right.
Oh no, there's another kind of train coming. And y'all, it didn't start in 2024 with this election. I mean, you've had the corporations found at a B-list actor who had become the head of the Screen Actors Guild. And they saw that he was telegenic and charismatic. And they pulled him out of Hollywood and they made him a national spokesman on TV. And then they started sending him to the Rotary Club, right? And they made him someone who was very respectable in the community. Then they just kept working with him and working with him and working with him. He was always a tool of the corporations. And I think we need to be mindful of that, Livonia, and Diane, because I think we need to understand who is putting these people in place and what policies they're enacting. Anytime you got Peter Thiel, who, when asked in an interview that has gone viral, and the interview just happened a few months ago, not even that long, because he is a technocrat, and he believes that technology can save us.
That's right.
They asked him in the interview, do you think that people are essential? And he stuttered and he paused. He could not answer.
That's right.
I said, oh my goodness. And he feels that, democracy and what was it? I'm going to find it. The bottom line, democracy is something that he doesn't feel that comfortable with. And here we are, we're looking at him, and and when we're looking at the people who really are the faces, but we're not looking at the places that they're coming from. We're not looking at the people who sent them there. And I think that for us to look at people, look at a person and not policy.
Right, and you make a good point, because I believe politicians and stars are not born; they are created. They're
Absolutely.
created for a purpose. They're created to present, to make presentations. They become the face of either they become the face. And really, many of the people we know in the history books, good on the right or the left, they were the face of an issue, a crisis, or chaos,
Mm-hmm.
or policy. They were the face. But the people, millions, put them in office, kept them in office, or allowed them to move policy forward. That is what's happening today. And like you said, it has been happening for years after years, campaign after campaign, election after election. The person that we see on television or here on the radio is only speaking the truth of the people who are building on policy and laws that, just think about today, the Supreme Court is not really separate and equal. That is not the fact today. And it hasn't been for a long
Mm-hmm.
period of time. We thought it was, but the veil has been pulled back for us to realize that they were answering to not just this past 9 individuals, not just this past year, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. When you look at why are we in the situation we're today, policies of the 1800s, the 1900s, this is where we are today. It didn't just, like you said, start overnight.
That's right. Diane Gibson, your thoughts?
I concur with everything you ladies have said. And I am a black female and then retired from government, city and county. But we're in trouble. And I don't think we realize the extent of the trouble that we're in, because I just left an event where we have over at least 85% of all the judges, county judges, district judges that are in Dallas County are all African American female. And my constant thing with them is always saying, if we don't unite now, when do we unite?
Yeah.
And we're going to have to start uniting just to help each other. And it's sad in 2025, as you all were saying, it feels like we're going backwards instead of going forward. And then that's pitiful to say that, but it does appear that way. I'm thankful for the African American women that did pave the way for us, but now we got to start paving the way for some people too. And I think this is a wake-up call for us, because I think we've gotten comfortable too. We felt like we always belong, and we got comfortable and then stopped looking out for each other.
Well, I think one of the things that we have learned, and I've seen it with you all, and now here I am, you never take your foot off the gas. And we also, I think that this, as I've said, this crisis creates an opportunity for us, because some of us now we're moving into catering. Some of us are now doing hair. And it's a funny thing. We are more excited about the job downtown than being on our side of town. And these are the people who have the money. I mean, everyone who can really, 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 really cook. Miss Leah Chase down in New Orleans, her grandson is on TV now, because he is picking up that tradition. And I'm just wondering, how it is. Where do we go from here with this? Because with the AI revolution is here. Those jobs are not coming back, Livonia.
No,
You know
no.
that. I mean, now you even have Diane. They are now using AI characters to make the music. And that's what's tragic, because I mean, they're really trying to push human beings away, because Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and all of these people, they are transhumanists. They don't really feel that people are that necessary. That's human beings. And we need to understand what we're dealing with. If we have to dig a lot deeper than a person that we see in the White House, because this is so way beyond him.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, it's because my point is, they have had this has been part of the plan for a very long time.
No question
It's
about it.
it's hitting us first. It's hitting Black women first, but it's hitting everybody. When I saw these white women
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Look, let me show you how we're making it on $1 a day,"
Yes.
that I said, "Oh my gosh!" And you saw them trying to go through the store, through the dollar store.
Mm.
And then they would find that some of the products that they need are gone. And they were showing you how to make a meal. These people are barely surviving. And for Americans to be there, I think we need to start asking some real questions about what it is that we're doing here.
A good question. Good question. I'm glad you mentioned that, because when you mentioned AI, I have the opportunity coming up for this semester to be a professor over the college here in Detroit, Michigan, Wayne County Community College with Dr.
Mhm.
Ivy.
Mhm.
And I'm teaching cyber seniors, cyber stories, and I'm looking at AI. Do you know, I know in probably next 5 or 10 years, they might not even need professors or feel that they don't
No,
need.
you need to explain that to me. What are you talking about?
Okay, AI, as you know, just so people will know, in a nutshell, literally you can have 2 sentences and you can say it to your computer. I'm gonna just give people real quick. I am Livonia Perriman and I am going to go to school tomorrow. And you want to make sure that is correct, but you want to add maybe 4 or 5 other sentences. AI can add those 4 other or 5 sentences to the other 2 that I personally, as a human being, have developed. AI can add 3 more, and it sounds as if I wrote them. That's number 1.
Because AI has studied you, right?
That's correct. Absolutely.
Okay, no, explain that, because
Yeah,
I don't think enough of us really understand
we
what
don't.
artificial intelligence is.
That's right. I'm gonna use another example then, so people will get it, so we can move on. If there's a photo and you have your grandmother's photo that you want to keep, you can actually put it in front of AI, put it in the system. I'm going to not give you the tactile, put it in the system, and it'll recreate your grandmother or your grandfather's photo. Just so that's where we are with AI. So you say, well, the photographer may not be needed. The professor at the college may not be needed at the level we're talking about today. The level, like I have 3 classes. AI could actually teach those 2 classes at this point. If you want to just use a computer, a charger, and AI, and Livonia would disappear, or Livonia's image would be created by AI. So AI would create Livonia Perriman's image right now, this physical right now, and you would think that I was teaching the class on Zoom. Not true. It would be AI. I want people to hear that is where we are today, not tomorrow, today. They can create Livonia Perriman doing the Santita Jackson show today.
Well, they create me doing the Santita
That's
Jackson
right.
show.
That's happening today. So what does that mean for us? That means just like what we had to deal with in the auto industry here in Detroit, Michigan. They were saying, well, the men on the line are going to lose their jobs. Yes, because automation came in and took over some of the jobs. But that means that they had to be retrained. So you ask, what do we do? It's about retraining, studying, capturing and understanding what AI and how to use it in your best interest. 1, if you are a teacher today, you might be a caterer tomorrow. Hello. Mm-hmm. If you are a broadcaster like we are today, you might be doing hair tomorrow. So whatever creative ideas you may have in the family, you need to look at that and turn it around to build on it as an entrepreneur or provide. You know how that second job might become your first and only job right now.
Because everything is changing. Because
Yes.
one thing you can't replicate at this time, even though I'm sure they're trying to have robots that can do that,
Yeah.
is someone who does your hair.
No,
They might try to do that with cooking, but no, you really still need to taste the
that's
food. And
good.
even though
That's
these
right.
robots they're saying are sentient, that they can feel and touch and feel, you know, I just wonder about where we are as human beings
Yes.
because anytime we're putting people out of the mix,
Yes.
I am I'm very disturbed by that, Livonia, and I think we are trying. That's what's happening because certainly we should be concerned that Black women have taken this hit. We should be. And initially, other people who they said, they're white women, of course, but they're Hispanics. But Hispanics can either be white, they can be white.
That's right.
So
They should be.
basically, you saw white people get more jobs because I bet you, I'm pretty certain that the Hispanics who got the lift, they appear white. They're not the dark skinned Hispanics.
No,
They're
no.
not. So there is that. But eventually they're going to be flushed out too. When the Doge cuts when they first hit, remember Elon Musk wanted to know he wanted to know down to the millisecond what you did in your job.
That's right.
And I think that's my brother Jonathan, who's in Congress, said I think he's doing that so that he can get rid of people, and they don't have to rehire anyone because they know exactly what you did in your job, how you did it, and they can feed it into AI.
Yes.
AI can do it, right?
Yes.
So how are you as an academic teaching people about AI?
I am informing them that one, first of all, too many people don't know that it exists and what impact it's having on their lives today. So I'm walking them through how the everyday life of everyday people is being impacted today by AI. That's one. But I'm also providing them information on how to use it to advance and thrive in the lifestyle that they have. So you may not be able, you might have a person who might be disabled in your home, or a senior who is at home and they're with a caregiver and they're by themselves. AI can provide information, entertainment, etc., etc. But you can also use AI in terms of looking for jobs or or expanding your vision. But you got to know that AI is going to eliminate, just like robots eliminated men on the line to
Mm-hmm.
build cars. That is going to happen. So I'm encouraging retraining, rethinking, but making use of it. I keep telling folks, oh, they put it out there, then we need to know how it works and let it work for ourselves. Not an easy transformation, but the information needs to be shared. And I don't think, if I'm correct, and I hope I'm not correct, that enough people know that it's really something other than just turning on your computer. And it's not like TikTok. Trust me, it's not. It's bigger than that. Corporations have been using it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Colleges and universities have been using it for a long. Communication systems, radio, TV, broadcast, podcasts have been using it for some time. It has expanded into the community. The people in the community, we need to know how to use it to our advantage.
Well, my question then for you is, what do we how do we navigate this? How do we use it to our advantage? Because now we're seeing CEOs who are saying that whole classes of jobs are
Yeah.
being eliminated. These entry level jobs, research jobs, things like that. All of that is being eliminated. I mean, and that's happening while we're trying to eliminate books and we want everything to exist in the cloud, which means everything can be altered. I think we're entering a very dangerous
Yes.
space, Livonia.
We are. We are entering a space. That's what I'm saying. We have to be very, very careful, just so folk will know. If you are a college student, whatever age you are, and you're hearing my voice right now, there is a system, a back system that will, if you actually developed a paper and it's strictly AI, you might get an F. I'm just using that as an example. F, because there's a back window that the professors and other people can find out if you're using AI and not using the gift that you have been given to write. So I want people to understand that. I don't know the backstory, but they have a system that the universities are using. They will tell you up on the front end, and I'm just going to tell it out loud, that you cannot use AI as your only way to get through life right now. Now, this is amazing. This is what's so ironic. Corporations, organizations, governments are using AI to track us, to track people, but they don't want people to track and thrive and build on their lives with AI. But corporations and governments are tracking, coordinating, and influence the way we live, the way we see the world, and the way we talk, the way we write, the way we dress, and what images we see. Images, the images we may see. I mean, people are using images and they're not even real. Real meaning they're AI images. And so we have to be very careful. There's no disclaimer. Remember back in the day, you had to have a disclaimer for certain things. No disclaimer so far. That's a government policy issue that needs to be discussed. How do we how do we know that is real or is it Memorex? Remember Memorex? How do we know that? There's no disclaimer. You can go on the internet today, Facebook, and half of Facebook is AI, but you would not know that. Because there's nothing, the government has not caught up with managing messaging, language, and images in the world. That's just, we're not there.
So the firings, well, I don't think that we can dispute what Chuck is saying. A lot of people don't have jobs. It isn't about race. Chuck, I think, I think one thing that you're missing, because I hear you, a lot of people don't have jobs. And what we do in America, we've made things about race. I didn't come up with this, and I know you're not saying that I am. But racism, classism is our problem. But we have racialized class in America, and that's the problem. Therefore, and because we've racialized class, white, black, brown, yellow, and red, and every other color in between, we are fighting with each other instead of fighting together. We're the 99%. The 1% are still running everything. So be very clear. White people might think that they're winning, but they're not. Ultimately, they're going to get caught in the buzzsaw of this.
Chuck, race impacts everybody. I want him to hear me, if you don't mind, dear. Chuck, racism impacts not just African Americans. It impacts everything that we do in this country. Everybody's impacted, good or bad. If we're not together on how we're going to survive and thrive, no one wins when racism is in play. You cannot say, I am not going to support Miss Jones over here who's African American, but I'm going to support Mrs. Jones over here who's white. And then you say, well, who's going to get the job? This is a fact. These are not numbers that we made up. The labor statistics and others have said the majority of the people who have lost jobs right here and now, women. And if we talk about the federal government, majority of the federal government is 18% of the federal government, it's African Americans. 12% of those women lost their jobs. Black women. That's a fact in 2025. So we can't get around. We try to get around. It's not about color. It's not about race. It's not about, it is, but it's more than that. It's race, and you said it, Santita, race and class. Class plays a role in this. And
classism
poverty.
Classism, racism falls under the umbrella of classism.
Yes.
Okay. And so let's be very clear. I understand when people make the argument about classism because racism is a form of classism. But America has baked racism into the cake here. No other group of people in the United States, including indigenous people, were classified as 3/5 of a human being.
That's
We
right.
were. That's racializing this. And we racialize classism to keep people at the bottom fighting with each other. So white people would feel that they were special, and they would not think that these onerous policies that the oligarchs have used against all of us applied to them, but they did. And they do. And so, I'm hearing you, and I'm here to tell you racism is real. And marching this woman out of her office
That's right.
after nearly 40 years
That's
with
right.
security, it left her staff, almost all of whom are white, in tears
That's right.
because it was frightening and it was so insulting for someone who they knew was absolutely brilliant at her job and eminently qualified. They knew that to treat her in this way, it's a horrible thing.
That's
It's a
right.
horrible thing. And
And
so,
they know the they is that 1%. Let me just say, because and our English teachers say you have to tell who the they is.
that's right.
The they are the 1%. They are the ones who are building policy in the U.S. Congress over the years, not just like you just said, not just this year. Over the years, U.S. Congress. I mean, they're wimps. But guess what? They represent and develop policy based on class. And I'm telling you, we can say it out loud, on race. If you look at the policies, I want to go back when I think about these jobs that we're talking about. When we were fighting for the right for women to vote, do you know that Black women were in the trenches, wrote letters, marched with white women? And when it came down to having Black women as part of receiving the vote, white women who we were marching with said no. That was white women. So class and race is intertwined in our history. This is nothing new to Black women. Black women know that. What we have done is been able to survive. In some places thrive. When we are talking about the federal government jobs, several thousand jobs gave the opportunity so many African-American families to send their children to college, to go to a trade school, or just to pull their up from their bootstraps, as they say, to survive and thrive. Those jobs, they policymakers recognize that those individuals are, guess what, guys, just so we don't forget, are voters. 90+% of the people who vote are Black women, and they vote Democrat. That's another fact that you need to understand.
At this time.
At this time, that's what I'm saying. At this time, understand that Black women are more active politically in voting in the Democratic Party. So what do you do? What do? You take your opponents down. I mean, it's just the game. It ain't nothing new. You say,
they could need these Republicans too, because a lot of these people with these big government jobs,
mm-hmm.
they work in Republican and Democratic administration.
Yes.
I think that there is, while we've seen white people get these jobs, that's for now, because AI is going to take them out. I mean, if you listen to these people talk, if you listen to these technocrats talk, these tech bros, they don't plan for any of these people to have jobs.
The jobs won't exist.
They won't exist.
The position, the job description will not say you have to have 4 years degree or 5 years of experience. They would say, do you know anything about the technology of whatever, AI or whatever they're going to name it 10 years from now? That's what they're going to ask you. Are we ready for that? Are we ready?
I don't think that we are.
No.
I mean, and mind you, I'm not saying that racism did not play a role in this. We got caught in the buzzsaw because we were there. And I mean, it's all of that. But the other piece is they are wiping out classes of jobs, of workers. The World Economic Forum talks about useless eaters. They're trying to figure out where human beings will fit because they feel that there are too many of us in the world. If you listen to Bill Gates and these people talk, what they're saying some things that are very dangerous. So everybody pay attention to all of that, because while it looks like you can get rid of me, trust me, eventually they're looking to get rid of a whole lot of folks.
Birth control is free for corporations in Africa. Birth control has been disseminated in Africa for years. It's not just this administration, for years. Now, the good and bad of that, we can argue that forever. But trust me, the corporations have been providing it for free in Africa.
Well, they gave it to the Ethiopians when they went to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
They were getting these shots. They were like, they didn't know what they were. They were basically they were being given shots that sterilized them.
That's right. Free.
They couldn't have babies. Yeah. So everybody, I think we need to just really start looking at what it is. We need to understand what it is that we're seeing. And I'm not so sure that we do, because I think that there's a lot more going on. Oh, bless your heart, Desmond. There's a lot more going on than we even know. But that's why I try to listen to everybody. In the next few days, I'm going to have someone to come back on and talk about Peter Thiel.
Yes.
So you can understand who he is. We need to understand the people who do not believe. What did he say that? Oh my goodness! I want to pull.
Right, as you look at it, as Peter Thiel, just so folk will know, billions of dollars. I mean, not billions. Let me just say millions of dollars put behind JD Vance. Millions. They created this young man to be the vice president.
And to be president, really.
That's right. They created him. Understand, that's what they're doing. The 1%ers, let's just use, if we're going to use it so people can visually understand. Yeah. The 1%ers are creating these images and likenesses of themselves.
This is someone who believes that freedom and democracy are compatible. In his 2009 essay, The Education of a Libertarian. I don't know if he's really a libertarian, but I'll go with it. That's what he says. He said, quote, I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible. That's what he said. Mm-hmm. He said, he clarified that while he doesn't believe any group should be disenfranchised, he also had little hope that voting will make things better. Mm-hmm. He's creating smart cities where you don't vote.
Right.
Technology makes the decisions for you. That's right. That's where we're going. Right. Anytime these people feel that, they're trying to figure out if there's any space for us in the world. I mean, come on. I mean, there's something about that that's a little sick.
But that's where they're going. And if we don't understand it, and I, along with everybody else, we're playing catch up. This is playing catch up right now.
Yeah.
But the call is out there to understand that the position that you may hold today, and right, you could be so secure in that position. Someone will walk into your room in your meeting with you being the director. Remember, she was there for 35 years. She was there for at least 5 different presidents. Mm-hmm. Think about that.
And
Republicans and Democrats. Republicans and Democrats.
She was excellent.
Republicans and Democrats.
But this is Peter Thiel in this discussion that I'm telling you about. Peter, I believe his name is D-O-U-T-H-A-T. Listen, right? I want you all to hear what he said.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating. Yeah, well, yes? I don't know. I would, this is a long hesitation. There's so many questions and you would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating. Yeah, well, yes? I don't know. I would, this is a long hesitation. There's so many questions and
I'm just trying to, friend to friend. I wanted you to hear that for yourself, and I wanted everyone else to hear that. You would prefer the human race to endure. Now, these are the people who came in and who wiped out all these jobs.
That's right.
And when you wipe out a job, my mother would always say, your father can't fire anyone. And I asked my father about that, even with some people who he knew were underperforming. He was going to try and find a way for you to fit. He said, "You don't know when someone loses a job, that's rent, that's a mortgage, that's a child who is in school, that's someone who's got to eat. People go to the grocery store on that paycheck, they fill up their car or they get on the bus. I do you know what that and he's no matter where he's gone in life, he's never gotten away from what people really need, Livonia. And that's what so when you're wiping out hundreds of thousands of jobs, and mind you, trust and believe these Hispanics and white men and white women who've been saved for now, it's trust me, it's just for now. Because they're going to get wiped out too. Because that's what these people plan to do. Because they don't. You heard him say it.
He not only said it, Elon was there for a moment. Elon, I believe, this is my humble opinion. Elon came into the administration as a consultant and he a tech person now, looked at looked at all the administration's departments and says, "Oh, we don't need that." They went in there and looked at what are they doing? Well, somebody might be passing a piece of paper. They said, "Well, we don't need that person answering the phone." Think about that. There might be several thousand people answering the phone. They eliminated
Jobs
called receptionists. Eliminated people who are called receptionists. That job description may not exist next week or next year. Receptionist, which really was a kickoff and a stepping stone for so many people, not only folk who were going to college, but just people who were just trying to take care of their families. Reception, administrative assistant, he eliminated that level of folk. And guess what he did after that? What did he do? He left. They said that he and Trump had an argument. He left because he had done exactly what he was charged to do.
Well, he still makes $8 million a day.
Say it aloud. Say it out loud. Yes.
$8 million a day off of you.
That's right.
See, that's what I'm saying. What did you say, Cindy? You said you thought studies showed youngsters do not do well during the pandemic without personal interaction. People, we're social animals. People need people.
Yes.
Thank you, Barbara Streisand. They're the luckiest people in the world.
That's right.
And, they're trying to cut down, Bernadette said they're trying to cut down on the people of color. They're trying to cut down on everybody. Peter Thiel. You just heard him. Now, mind you, the other part is Elon Musk is a natalist. He's trying to have more white children. Because remember, that's what they want to put into policy, where they're going to pay white people to have more children because their numbers are going down, not just here, but in Europe. All of it is just really sick. Can I just put it right there?
You sure can. But I want to go back to where we started.
I got 3 minutes.
So understand, right? But the job situation, remember, and your father said it, without a paycheck, let's call it what it is. Without a paycheck, how do you thrive? How do you survive? How do you pay the rent? How do you send your kids to school? How do you buy food? How do you do whatever you need to do? How do you take care of grandmother? How do you take granddad? How do you do that? When we talk about jobs and when they started eliminating jobs, that's where we started here. When you eliminate the way you are able to move through even with AI in the midst of it, even when you are able to really thrive or get up in the morning and go somewhere to make a check, and that is cut off, you are cutting off survival of not only a person, but a community.
But Livonia, to your point, when you're telling people that they don't matter, that they're no longer necessary. Okay, you close these jobs. I get it. But, I stayed over in Denmark for several months when I was 14. I turned 15 over there. Very dear friend of my parents was a world-renowned research chemist and professor. And they stayed close from North Carolina A&T all the way through life. And so his daughter Karen would go, my parents would take her places. So when he went to Europe and he had to live over there for at least a year, he said, why don't you let Sandy come over with my wife and daughter for a few months? And I think it would be a great experience. And it really was. Because at 14 and 15, I really didn't understand the importance of health insurance. I just, my parents were able to take care of us. So Livonia didn't think about it. I thought about it, but I didn't think about it. Because my survival was not something that I had to think about. My parents, thank God, had that, right? On many levels. But what was interesting was the conversation over there, Livonia. Because if you lost a job or if you decided to leave a job, the portal was open. Where you went to school and you got re-educated and retrained for another position. It was just, they didn't even think about it. And when you landed over there, you were automatically absorbed into their healthcare system. So if I got sick over there, no, you just go, like when you're in France. If you catch the flu or something, you go to the doctor and you get the medicine and that's it. And they're like, no, it's just, we do that. That's what we do here. We've got to find a way to be civilized, Livonia. Because what we're doing right now is just uncivilized. We're asking if people really matter. You heard it. And he said, he never said yes.
Never.
Livonia, he never said yes.
Never.
And this man is going to go around and give a talk on the Antichrist. Why are we listening to him? Well, we need to listen to him, but we need to listen critically and be real clear. And I don't think that's what you want, everybody. Or at least you shouldn't. That's just me. I love you, Livonia. What would you like to say before we go? Because, you're going to come back as a professor to talk about this because you got your work cut out for you, my sister.
Truly my honor. I have been studying. I have been trying to infuse that idea in me and understand how it impacts our lives. We need to understand and listen carefully. I encourage people to read. I encourage people to listen to this show and make sure that you ask the right question so you can get the right answer. What is going on? Why is it all of a sudden there are less jobs, less receptionist jobs, less administrative jobs, less professor jobs? Why is that happening? It's not by accident. There is a plan of action that is happening among the 1% that will impact the 99%. But if we could bring it home, anything and everything that we're talking about today impacts your life and the lives of the people that you love. And so we have to be educated. And when I say educated, I'm not talking about you got to get another degree. You have to be educated on what the plan is in the country and how you fit into that plan. And frankly, you're going to have to learn how to fit in yourself. You're going to have to figure that out yourself. But guess what? You have people like the folk around you who can combine and coalesce and like Rainbow Coalition. Get with an organization, get with an institution, find out what they know and share the information, share it in the community. If you have to plant, if a school has to have a garden and a vegetable garden next door to the school to have food for lunch, then you need to get the kids out there with gloves or dirty hands and let them learn how to plant. Understand what I'm saying? And if you need a chicken coop, we know some people who can do that. You might have to look at it that way.
Everybody, we got to run. Go on over to the next hour because we're running late, but we got a lot to talk about. Is the right wing trying to rig the election for 2026? You betcha. Oh, what a wonderful conversation. Livonia Perryman, sending you so much love. More of the Santita Jackson Show immediately. Back in just a moment.